This episode of Living Local is dedicated to Stacy Davis, the best mom, friend, daughter, and advocate for kids anyone could know. Stacy was the glue that held so many lives together, and the community will never be the same without her. Tragically lost to an act of domestic violence, Stacy leaves behind her children who must now navigate life without the rock of their family. To honor her memory, a fundraiser has been established to assist with various costs and expenses. The goal is to show up for these children just as Stacy showed up for everyone, every day. Please consider contributing to the GoFundMe campaign to stand with her family during this heartbreaking time. Living Local is presented by Amy Goss with Guild Mortgage. Amy is a proud Marine veteran serving Jacksonville and the surrounding communities with VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional home loans. She specializes in helping military families, first-time buyers, and everyone in between achieve the American dream of homeownership. Welcome to Living Local. I'm Steve Goodson. Something remarkable is happening in Onslow County right now. 3 major nonprofit organizations are making bold investments in our community's future, not just expanding programs, but building the physical infrastructure to serve thousands of people for decades to come. Today's episode is called Nonprofits Doing Big Things, and we're talking to the leaders behind 3 organizations that are putting their faith in Onslow County's future in concrete and steel, backed by a lot of heart and care. One Place has built and opened a new family resource center, creating a hub where families in crisis can access everything they need under one roof. The Carolina Museum of the Marine is building a permanent home, opening this summer, to preserve Marine Corps history and heritage in the community that's home to Camp Lejeune. And the New River YMCA is moving dirt and construction is well underway, and they're building Onslow County's first significant YMCA facility from the ground up, something that simply hasn't existed here before. These aren't small projects. These are multi-million-dollar investments and years of planning and work, and they're all happening at the same time. What does that say about where Onslow County is headed? How do these organizations work together to build a stronger community? And why are people betting big on our future? Let's find out. This is Living Local, authentic voices, conversations that matter. I'm here with Dawn Rochelle, CEO of One Place, Onslow County's Family Resource Center, which is dedicated to serving the children and families of our community. The nonprofit has made a major investment in our community by building a new, magnificent facility to better serve families in crisis. Dawn, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for highlighting our work.
Yeah, and I say it's magnificent. The building from that, I haven't been inside, outside. It looks magnificent. In our community, when you have a more than a square box, something that has a little character, architecture is important, and it kind of sets the mood, honestly, I think, for when folks are coming there. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us.
So to kick things off, just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a part of the Onslow County Partnership for Children that has become now One Place.
Yeah, thank you. And we have children similar age, and I had heard about this startup nonprofit back in 98, 99 that had come to the community. And I was feeling a calling at that time with a 3-year-old, and knowing in my work, which is social work, that I wanted to ensure that all children could have what I was trying very hard to provide for my own daughter, that more children would have access. And I kind of took a leap of faith. It was after Hurricane Floyd, actually. A lot of defining moments in our community around
Around
hurricanes, I
hurricanes.
feel like, and I was driving back and forth to Greenville for my graduate degree, and no cell phones, pagers, all that
Yep.
happening. And I was just like, I just felt a calling that I wanted to do something that would help children, quite frankly, not get to the doors of DSS.
Yep.
It's like, a lot of services that exist in child welfare and economic services and adult services are all 100% preventable. So what could I do to help ensure? And that's really the basic tenet of my profession, is to eliminate the need. It's to serve the need, but it's also to help eliminate the need and why it exists in the first place. We can't ever forget that. And there it was, a startup nonprofit hiring. And so I took a huge pay cut at that time, and no benefits, and went
Wow.
to this startup nonprofit. And I got a lot of questions, as you can imagine. And it's one of the better decisions I've ever made in my life, professionally and career-wise, because nonprofit work, although very heavily funded by government in a lot of circumstances, especially here without a deep philanthropic community. We have a great philanthropic community, but we're not Western North Carolina.
Yep.
We're not Central North Carolina, and where we are. And it was not a nonprofit that was started based on a philanthropic interest in a traditional sense. It was based on a statewide initiative.
For those unfamiliar with One Place, explain
Mm-hmm.
what a family resource center is and what you guys do.
Yeah.
And I know that's really open-ended, but
Yeah, well, our tagline is to connect families.
Yeah.
And in a military community, when people are geographically separated, and maybe they didn't even need a service when they moved here, because a lot of our young military, they don't have children necessarily moving here,
yeah,
but many times they begin their families here. And, I love, a dear colleague of mine says it shouldn't take a secret decoder ring to find services. And even if they had services in another community, it's different because every state's different.
Yeah.
Every county can be different. And one of the reasons why we were rebranded with the community's help to One Place is we want to be the one place that even if you don't sometimes know what you need for your family, you've got one place that you can call that will then be an expert to help connect you in the community. And we've done that for a whole host of reasons that people would never imagine, especially in the aftermath of disaster. We'll get calls, but our staff know if they called us, at least try to be the best on the other line to help them.
Yeah.
And we, at our basic core, help to connect families, our young families, with early childhood resources. And we also help them to really think about what's needed for prevention in their home. As we both know,
Yep.
children don't come with a rule book. We do the best we can with what we got.
You're right about that.
Yeah. And if something happens in a child's life, I want for other children what I would have wanted for my own. And that's why we have gone into the child advocacy space and creating child mental health, which is really what has driven a lot of the design and a lot of the need for us to have our permanent home.
Yeah. You've been described as a hub.
Yes.
For the family. So explain exactly what that means, and you've kind of touched on it, but really talk about how does a family experience that with One Place and how that actually looks.
Yeah, honestly, it's being kind.
Yeah.
I think we sometimes think about being nice, but really on our staff, and a basic core value is being kind, which means to get really clear about what you're being asked and to be really clear about what you can do. None of us like to be under under-delivered to, right? We want to be over-delivered. Yep. So we try to really get clear, is it a family that's in need of preschool services? Is it that they need resources to know how to read to their child? Is it a child that has been hurt? Is it that you need care from a mental health perspective? And then to be able to plug them into either our services or the services of another community nonprofit or government service.
And not having to go all over the city, all over the county, all over the community to figure it out, right? To be there and to listen. Be kind, but listen.
Yes.
So the new facility, again, awesome. Significant investment. Tell me a little bit how the project took shape and who were the people, obviously besides yourself, boots on the ground, making this thing happen.
Yeah, you know, it started with a question. We were approaching our 20th year. And you know, when you're approaching adulthood,
deciding what you're going to be when you grow up, right?
Yeah, it's like, okay. But a lot of our, well, all of our foundational funding, which is predominantly grant funding, did not allow a mortgage. And so a lot of people thought when we moved into our last home that it was ours. And we had a great landlord for the years that we were in that facility, and we rented it, right? And we felt like in order to really weather the ebbs and flows of funding, and because there's so many things that continue to change in our world, and even sometimes grants can take 9 months to get reimbursed. So you're cash flowing that. And as a business, that gets hard. So at 20, we kind of decided like, okay, well, we need to grow up and we need to see if we can own something. And then how do we do that? And it was really sitting at a table of the executive leadership going, well, how much have we already paid for this facility? Because we obviously have capacity to pay off a permanent home. And then the conversation quickly became, so who can help us and what do we need? So we actually went through a really extensive programming. One of the people at the table is Ann Raymond, who's very well known in our community and has been alongside of me in this growth and entrepreneurial thinking about what human services can be for more than 2 decades. And she's like, well, I know an architect. And I was like, okay. And I knew of him because of my husband being from the community, and it was Trip Beecham.
Yep.
So he brought his whole team and interviewed everybody on our staff at that time, trying to figure out, so what was it that we needed in order to do the service? So the facility, while magnificent on the outside, was designed from the inside out. And it was really important to us that everything in the space helps to really reduce that hypersensitivity that happens in response to disaster, which is we're on guard. We're on guard. The uncertainty that is created. So from the moment you walk in the space, it is designed to help people, even if you don't know what it is exactly, it's designed to help excel. And a lot of our partners that we serve in the community as a child advocacy center or first responders who go from call to call to call. Our social workers do too. They go from house to house to house. They're exposed to a lot of things that make you be on guard.
Yeah.
And all of us know what it's like to walk in a space and know whether we're going to be helped or not.
Yeah.
You know, we all know. That's why there's so much attention paid to lobbies.
That's right.
Right? It's why there's so much attention. And we also know what it's like to walk in a space and it's for a heightened reason, like your child's been a victim of something, or you're going in for a child mental health appointment, or this is the first time you've ever enrolled your child in preschool and you don't know what to ask, but you're scared to death your child's going to be hurt wherever you make a decision to place them. You know, such weighty stuff. So we want people to feel like calm and almost distracted by what they see You know, they start looking around.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And they see flowers and they see stone and they see wood and they're like, wow. It almost becomes disarming in a good way.
In a good way. In a good way.
So it's been a journey with a lot of people. I'm a person of faith with a lot of people that just keep connecting the dots.
Yeah. So let me ask you this one thing: the new facility. What's become possible now that wasn't possible before, simply because of this new facility, the design, the architecture?
Yes. So immediately, so they are 2 medical treatment
Okay.
facilities. So again, we exist in the child advocacy space to support the child and the family if something's happened, to get that recording the one time. We have a lot of sibling groups that come through.
Okay.
To be able to simultaneously see that sibling group saves time,
Okay.
makes it more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
The more you sit and wait, the more impatient you are. But what it also does is to help our community partners. Time's money.
Absolutely.
And so that efficiency becomes very important for law enforcement and for social services. There's already a strain in that population. So our ability to provide 2 spaces to be able to staff those helps not only the child and the family have a different experience, but it also helps our community partners get back on the road to their next case. Yeah, because the other thing that the space allows us to do is to create child mental health. And we are the only dedicated space in the community for child mental health.
Great.
And it's, you know, we seek to serve the child literally in the same space where they got the quilt, you know, when they came in for the exam. And we've been able to add through different partnerships with the Duke Endowment and some of our other Rotary partners with creating additional mental health practitioners, which is few and far between. I always say you don't want everybody seeing your child as a mental health person. So we've really sought to create, and I don't mean that disparagingly.
No,
right?
no.
I mean,
No, absolutely not.
Everybody's kind of got their clientele that they work with, and a lot of practitioners will tell you, like, yeah, I do adults, or yeah, I do children. So we want to have those practitioners that really are called to
Focus on the kids.
to children and children that may be court involved, which is a whole different thing. But when you see these littles, and what I mean by that, especially for those receiving child mental health services, elementary age, teenagers, when they're walking in the space, you just like, you watch them like, and they can feel the difference. And one of our mental health practitioners, she walks children. She takes them. You want to go on a tour, you know, so you know everything that's happening in the building. And one of the sweetest things is this child, like, looking around and going through the tour the first time, but the next time brought their grandparent and said, can we go on a tour and can I lead it? And another child sitting in our boardroom and going, this feels nice. And the clinician said, can you imagine yourself being there? And she's like, yeah, I think I can. But it's all designed with the child in mind. Yeah. And it's also meant with the textures and the colors that are meant to ground everybody who walks in it. So it is a trauma-informed space. We believe it is the first in North Carolina.
Major investment at the same time. Carolina Museum of the Marine is set to open this summer.
Yes.
Wonderful facility.
Yes.
And New River YMCA is building our first major YMCA facility in our community. Long overdue. What does that say about our community, Onslow County, and nonprofits that are making just bold, striking investments in our community's future?
Yes, well, I do think it speaks to vision. And I do think that it speaks to a season where quality of life matters. It also speaks to the fact that the majority of all of these investments, I would say 80% of it has come from outside of Onslow County for recognition of the impact of military.
Mhm.
You know, we serve a global community. Anybody that comes through here, anybody that grew up here, we serve a global community by virtue of our Marines and
That's
sailors and
exactly right.
Guard that are here. So all of these projects, I'm more intimately, of course, with one place, and then of course know the investments that the Y has sought. What has made those investments is the community's belief and also the community's willingness to be able to ask for others' help and to tell our story as a military community. Because you can tell, I mean, when you're driving through any community, you look at the investments that a community has made in itself.
Yeah.
Right? That's what elevates a community. It
Oh.
just is, whether you like it or not. And it takes a lot of investments from government. It takes investment from business.
Yep.
It takes it from philanthropy. And then you got to have the advocacy to do the work.
Yeah. And that's a great lead into the next question. So now's your time. You get to highlight and spotlight a couple. The community, government entities have stepped up, obviously state,
Yeah.
federal. Now's your time to kind of highlight some of those. I know you've got one very large partner in it, and maybe more than one, but shout out to to whomever now.
Yeah, I would say that so from the government side, Phil Shepherd, Representative Phil Shepherd, and Senator Michael Lozara have been instrumental, pivotal. They saw the vision, and a lot of people can see the vision, but then to actually connect the vision and to do it in such a meaningful way. Right? And we're very blessed to have both of them. And of course, Senator Lazar, when he was mayor pro tem, was very instrumental, along with Mayor Sammy Phillips, in helping to really, they were the ones who brought the community together with the suicide task force, with the child abuse task force. And all of those things have sort of laid the groundwork, if you will, to sort of lead in. The city of Jacksonville, in terms of a government entity, has made the second largest investment, aside from the North Carolina General Assembly. On the business side, it was and I just saw him and I just reminded him of that. It was actually a staff member at Sanders Ford who made the very first pledge to a capital project.
That's
At
awesome.
a Diamonds and Denim. We had absolutely no idea what we were building. And I say that to the Raymond family because they have created such a philanthropic culture within their staff that it was one of their staff that stood up and did that. Sanders Ford has very much led the way from the business side of the community, and very grateful to that. And then as you walk through the building right now, you're seeing sort of our signs that are being elevated and are going up. Golden Corral and Billy Sewell has led the way for a lot of thought partnerships and a lot of connections. I would say additionally some of the foundation investments, and I hate when you start naming people, Steve.
You don't want to leave anybody out. I know that. Yeah.
I will say that from the foundation side of things and the philanthropic, State Employees Credit Union Foundation, they seeded us with a $40,000 mission capacity grant, and they connected us with people who thought bigger than us and that also understood our structure.
Yeah.
And that is how we have been able to get our largest private philanthropy investment has been $1 million. We've had considerable investments with people that have done $100, because that's what they could give. Yeah. But they have a part in that building.
That's right. And
we celebrate everybody. To startup businesses that, I think about Nothing But Cakes, who is a young entrepreneur who owns at Brittany.
Yeah.
And her philanthropic heart, to be a part of that space and building, I can think about it from your legacy family owners, like the Raymonds, like the Sewells, the Efords, and then you see the new startups.
So 5 years from now, when the facility has been up and running and you're fully operational and you're serving more and more families in our community ever, what does success look like, and what will one place's presence mean for this community?
Yeah, well, I'll answer this a little bit differently, because, I love Maxwell leadership, and he talks about the difference is really when you go from success to significance. And I would say that space and place that we call hope, which is one place, hope is a forward emotion. So it is the State Employees Credit Union Hope Center because of their significant investment as a foundation. And significance to me is that community-wise, no matter the people that are here, it's representative of a place where people can say, oh, that one place, they'll help. That's really the significance, whether it's professionally or personally. The one thing, I'm so proud of the services. I'm more proud of the employment that we have been able to extend to professionals in our community, and to create a cadre of people that are experts in child mental health, in child trauma, in adverse childhood experiences, whether from the early education side or from the medical mental health side of things. That hasn't existed. And I didn't go about solving that because I thought it existed or knew it existed. I've stumbled into the fact of this place that I dearly love in Eastern North Carolina. It's my home, it's my roots, how under-resourced we are.
This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And listen, thank you for what your folks are doing in the community, supporting our children, the families, and we're looking forward to a bright future for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm joined today by Major General Joe SHRADER, U.S. Marine Corps, retired, who now serves as President and CEO of the Carolina Museum of the Marine. The museum is dedicated to preserving the rich history and heritage of our Carolina Marines and sailors. We have an exciting few months ahead as the museum will officially open to the public at Lejeune Memorial Gardens here in Jacksonville on June 8th. This opening brings to life a long-held vision rooted in service, leadership, and legacy. General SHRADER, thank you for being here with me today.
Steve, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And before we start, I want to sincerely thank you, man, for your service, dedicated service to our country, and for the leadership you've shown throughout your career. So I just want to say thank you for that before we get into this stuff. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Yes, sir. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you come to be a part of the Carolina Museum of the Marine.
So I'll start off by saying today is actually my 45th. 45 years ago today, I shipped to Parris Island.
Awesome.
To become a Marine, March 20th, 1981.
Awesome.
Grew up in West Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Enlisted right out of high school in the Marine Corps. My father was a Marine, did 4 years, and he was my inspiration to really join the Marine Corps. And so shipped to Parris Island, did my enlistment, 3 years enlistment in the infantry. Finished up the enlistment. I was in a very storied battalion, actually the regiment, 5th Marine Regiment out in Camp Pendleton, California. Most decorated regiment in the Marine Corps. And I was actually spent my whole time in a Kilo Company 3-5. So if you've ever read the book The Old Breed, it's about Kilo Company 3-5.
Yes, sir.
So did my whole enlistment there, got out as a corporal, went back to West Virginia, went to a small state college there called Bluefield State College. Now it's a university, pursued a degree in electrical engineering. Met my wife, and at the time I was looking at trying to go to work either in the coal mines or the railroad or the power company, Appalachian Power Company. Nothing was hiring.
Yeah.
So, you know, through a very circuitous route, and I say that because I spent a little bit of time in the Army, West Virginia Army National Guard when I was in college. But through that circuitous route, ended up back in the Marine Corps. Got a commission, went through the platoon leaders course, commissioned, became an artillery officer in the Marine Corps, sent here to Camp Lejeune in 1990. Got here just before Desert Storm kicked off. Was artillery regiment, deployed there, and spent the next 20 plus years in the artillery up to the rank of colonel. And then at colonel, the Marine Corps was standing up an acquisition MOS. And I got pulled into that because I got the acquisition stink on me as a major. So got pulled into that, and was really fortunate, blessed to be selected to be Brigadier General, and then led the Marine Corps' acquisitions, Ground Combat Acquisition Systems Command. And then from there went to the Marine Corps Logistics Command, picked up 2-star and retired out of Albany, Georgia in 2022. So I ended up with about 37 plus some months active duty in the Marine Corps. Very blessed to do that. I tell the story especially about the acquisition piece because it's kind of what I think it's a little bit what led me to be affiliated to take this position.
Yes, sir.
The program management background that I have. I did do a little bit of soul searching because I had retired and, you know, I wasn't really ready to take on something full time.
Yes, sir.
But when I looked at the mission and the purpose of this organization, you know, after you've worked almost 4 decades going 110 miles an hour, it's hard to stop.
Yes, sir. I totally understand. Yeah. I understand.
And so I was, you know, I was looking for something, but I wanted it to have a purpose. Not necessarily the money, but the purpose.
Yes, sir.
And so when I looked at the mission of preserving the legacy of Marines and sailors, especially here in Carolina, and my connection, I thought, yep, this is something I want to do. And so I took on the position in October of 2024, right after groundbreaking. Took it over from Kevin Stewart,
Yes,
who
sir.
did a fantastic job setting the conditions for us to be where we are today, leading up to getting ready to open the doors in June.
That's awesome. So for someone who may be unfamiliar with the Carolina Museum of the Marine, your tagline is "Meet the Marine, be inspired." What does that mean in practice, and what's, again, explain your mission and what stories you are actually preserving?
Yeah, so you know, when people think of a museum, they think of a bunch of old stuff trying to preserve and tell a story about history.
Yes, sir.
So we are doing some of that, but what's different about this museum really has to do with that be inspired piece. So Meet the Marine is about capturing and telling the stories, the legacy and the stories of Marines and sailors and their families that have served here in the Carolinas, both North and South Carolina. But the inspire piece is what is different about this museum. We're going to use that legacy to then pay it forward, to teach leadership, and you know, if I can, I'll just read the mission statement.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes,
honor,
sir.
preserve, and teach the legacy of Carolina Marines and sailors, and then the inspire piece is to showcase through the Marine example to inspire future generations. What does it mean to be part of something bigger than yourself, to serve, and then really protect and preserve the freedoms that we enjoy in this nation?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Jacksonville, General, it's literally the home of one of the largest Marine bases in the world. Why does that make the Museum of Marine not just fitting, but essential here?
It is one of the largest Marine Corps bases, stations throughout the world. I mean, I think there's 24 or maybe 26. I'm a little bit dated, but I think there's 24 Marine Corps bases and stations throughout the globe. But there's three big, that coincide with, that house the three Marine Expeditionary Forces. One MEF on Camp Pendleton, 2 MEF here at Camp Lejeune, and then 3 MEF out in Okinawa. Here in the Carolinas, if you're a Marine and you either go to school here at Camp Lejeune or one of the bases and stations like Cherry Point or New River or Parris Island, but really Camp Lejeune proper, if you will, you have been a member of what we call the Carolina MAGTF. While it really values fighting with the other services or working with the other services, the Marine Corps can also deploy and sustain itself and warfight using all three of those elements, the air, ground, and sea. So, Marines say, I'm a MAGTF officer or a MAGTF Marine. And then to take it a step further, when you have served here or gone to school here, you've been part of the Carolina MAGTF. And so it's almost a point, it is a point of pride.
Pride, yeah, absolutely.
So being able to preserve that and tell that story, and in the museum, we're actually going to have a cafe, and we have named it the Carolina MAGTF Cafe. And we're going to have an exhibit that talks about the Carolina MAGTF.
That's awesome.
And what it means to be a member of, or have been a member of the Carolina MAGTF. So we have to capture that story. No other base and station throughout the Marine Corps really has that. 1st Marine Division or 1 MEF, they call themselves the IMEF or the Imperial MEF, and Okinawa has its own story, but in the Carolinas, it's the Carolina MAGTF.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we were talking off air before we got going, but this has been a labor of love for many, and for a long time, and this has been a long time coming. From the fundraising that I remember back 20, 25 years ago to the building phase through now. So how did the vision take shape, and who were some of the boots on the ground folks that kind of made this thing happen over the years?
Yeah, it's a great question. We are right now assembling the history, and it's tough.
The history of the actual of the museum
of the museum, because it did start. It started 25 years ago. So there's a group of individuals that I think the best way to describe them is the visionaries, and that was Major General Ray Smith, who was if I have it correctly, he was the commander, if you will, here at Camp Lejeune some 25 years ago, and his wife, Colleen, and then Sergeant Major Joe Houle, retired Sergeant Major Joe Houle, and then there's retired Colonel Bruce Gumbar. So it's kind of those four are kind of the visionary. And the story that I've been told, what happened, was those Marines, those 3 Marines, the general, the sergeant major, and the colonel, like most Marines, they got a footlocker full of stuff, and they've collected all kinds of artifacts and all, And the story I was told was Colleen, General Smith's wife, said, "You guys ought to think about starting a museum." Now, that's what I've been told. And, I mentioned that we are right now assembling the history, because over the last 25 years, to keep the vision alive, it has taken not just those 4 individuals, but a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people have their fingerprints on this. And for me, I'm the lucky guy. I'm just taking it here at the kind of the 10-yard line and taking it across into the end zone. But as we assemble this history, and I look at all of the work that has been done, it's you talk about a story of perseverance. It really is, and it reflects just how much, the once a Marine, always a Marine, and just keeping the legacy alive.
So walk me through what visitors might experience when they go through the doors of the Carolina Museum of the Marine come June. What will they see, feel, learn?
So they'll come into a 25,000 square foot facility, state of the art. So you'll come into this 25,000 square foot facility. It's going to have a great hall, it's going to have a cafe, and it's going to have 5 galleries. And the story will begin essentially 1941, which is when then General Cates, who was the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the World War II is kicking off, and the Marine Corps needed to find a place to develop its amphibious warfare tactics, techniques, and procedures. We have a copy of the message. The general tells a major, go get a plane, go get a pilot, and find me a place on the East Coast to do amphibious training and develop all this. So this major gets an airplane, and they fly from Florida up to Virginia, and they find what is now New River Air Station, New River.
Okay.
They go back and they say, General, I found it. And so that's the beginning of what is now Camp Lejeune. They developed a lot of the amphibious tactics, if you will, and some of the equipment that was used by the Marines in the island hopping campaigns of World War II.
Okay.
That's the Marine Corps side of the story. The other thing that visitors will learn as they come into the museum is the 700 plus families that owned the property that is now Camp Lejeune. Yeah. I mean, there is a story. You could spend a day talking about that. Yeah. And so we capture that story. We're going to talk about that through narratives, through pictures. So they'll come into the intro. It'll start with 1941, and the theme of the intro is World Warriors Answering the Call, and it talks about that. They go into Gallery 1. Gallery 1 is the largest gallery. The first gallery is the largest gallery. The theme there is they came from the sea. We have a 1940s, 1950s circa landing vehicle track, an LVT-4. If you've seen any documentaries about Iwo Jima or World War II and the Marines going ashore, that's the vehicle that we have in there. They go into Gallery 2, which is the smallest gallery, but I think it's going to be one of the most touching galleries in terms of making an impression on, or leaving people with an understanding of what this community means to its Marines and the Marines mean to this community. And the gallery, the theme of the gallery is ties that bind. And it's going to have individual stories of Marines that have served here and families not only distinguished themselves in service, but went on to distinguish themselves after service. At the end of that gallery is going to be the Beirut exhibit. And, excuse me, and if you know anything about Camp Lejeune and the 2MEF and the Jacksonville community, you know the profound impact that October 23rd, 1983 had on this community. And so working with the Beirut Veterans of America, we've come up with a really a large, touching exhibit that talks about that story. And part of that exhibit it's called Letters Home. And we have some letters that were written by the Marines that were in Beirut.
Oh, wow.
That the family members gave us. You go from there into the third gallery. The third gallery is about innovation, not just Marine Corps innovation, but it's innovation within the context of battles, contingencies, major wars that Marines here on the East Coast participated in. In that gallery, one of the large artifacts is we're going to have a Huey helicopter hanging from the ceiling. It's a UH-1 Echo. It's the Mona Lisa of Huey helicopters. It is the very first Huey helicopter that was issued to the Marine Corps. Wow. We have it. You know, the significance of the helicopter, and I'm just thrilled that we have it.
That's awesome.
And so so the intro, the three galleries, and the outro. So just let me back up for a second. So even though we're going to have a few artifacts, large artifacts, if you're coming into this museum to see big things, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. But what you will see is if you think about the name of the museum, the Carolina Museum of the Marine, it's about individual Marines, like I said, individual stories. So you'll go through and you'll see and read you'll meet some 44 different Marines and their families, and we'll talk about those stories. So you've gone through all the intro, all 3 galleries, you've met the Marine, now you go into the outro, and the theme of the outro is Semper Fidelis, and that's where we pull it all together. That's where we do the Be Inspired piece. So we describe the experience that you've seen, we capture that with, if somebody, how can I describe? What we're trying to do, if somebody has no idea what the Marine Corps is about and they've never heard our motto, Always Faithful, Semper Fidelis, we want them to have an appreciation for what that means within the context of the service and the individuals in their service that they provided to this nation that they met through there. Outside of the museum, we've got it's about 2 acres, Patriots Park, and in the center of Patriots Park is an eternal flame that will, on opening day, we're going to light that eternal flame, and it will burn 24/7, 365.
Oh, that's amazing.
An eternal flame.
So tell the viewers, what's one thing, if I'm there, that to really get at the heart of this museum,
Yeah.
I don't want to miss.
I love telling people about, we're going to have Jack Lucas's Medal of Honor. So Jack Lucas joined the Marine Corps at 14 years old.
Oh
World
gosh,
War II.
wow.
And at 16 years old, found himself on Iwo Jima, and for actions on Iwo Jima, received the Medal of Honor. We have the medal. It's being loaned to us for display in the museum, and it'll be in Gallery 1, in the first gallery, because of the significance of Iwo Jima that came from the sea. But also, people need to understand from what's also significant about that story, you know, not just Jack Lucas's story, but also, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but as I was, you know, I start the job and I'm head down, you know, trying to make sure that cost schedule performance, you know, if you're a program manager, you know, it's all about cost schedule, right? And so I'm head down in that, and then one day I'm in the business office, and there's this gentleman who's in there 2 or 3 times a week, and he's one of our volunteers. And so I just stop and I'm talking to him, and I find out that a volunteer, he's a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer, and his wife is Jack Lucas's granddaughter. And so that's the connection. And here we have Jack Lucas, Medal of Honor recipient, granddaughter's husband, a volunteer at the museum. Are we going to have that story in the museum, you know, talking about the granddaughter's husband is a volunteer? Probably not, but we need to somehow tell that story.
Yeah, that's
so,
amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. So you guys are finishing up the project in a few months and opening up one place, because this show is about nonprofits. One place recently opened up their new facility, and the YMCA is doing something, you know, monumental here in the community as well. Moving dirt, building a new facility on Gun Branch Road, something that this community has really needed for a long time. What does it say about Onslow County, this community, and nonprofits making just these big, bold investments in our community?
One, I think it speaks to the community itself, in the sense that it's a team. Because if you've ever done any this is the first time I've ever worked with a nonprofit. Yeah. And nonprofit's about fundraising, and fundraising is about the mission that you're trying to find support for.
Yes, sir.
And the fact that they've been able to keep this vision alive over the last 25 years, and now that it's coming out of the ground, is significant. It speaks to the support that we're now getting a lot of from the community, and how much the community values its Marines, But also, my understanding is One Place and the YMCA are doing well also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I would say, if I had to put a pin in it, I would say that it's a giving community. It's
Yes,
a community that believes in its Marines, it believes in One Place's mission, and it also believes in what the YMCA can bring to the Jacksonville and the Onslow County area.
Yeah.
The county has been fantastic.
Yeah. And that's a great tie-in. Fundraising, partnerships.
Yeah.
This could not have been done in any of the projects. One Place, the YMCA, the museum could not have been done without partnerships. Talk a little bit about those partnerships from the federal level, state level, elected officials, local patrons. Just briefly. And I know you mention one, you feel like you got to mention all, but just maybe just hit that.
I'll try to generalize, but also call out.
Yeah.
At the federal level, I'm just going to say Congressman Murphy has been fantastic. We've worked with him. At the state level, both prior Senator Harry Brown and now Senator Michael Azara have been fantastic. The state, I think everybody knows that we got a grant to build the museum, a very generous grant to build the museum. Can't thank them enough for that. Can't thank the taxpayers enough for that. And it's not lost on me that I have to, that we have to really manage the taxpayer dollars very well.
Sir.
At the county level, the county has been fantastic. They've been generous through some grants that we've received, and we continue to work with the county. I took one of the commissioners actually day before yesterday, one of the sitting county commissioners through and walked them through and just showed them how we're doing. That's a great partnership. The city, we're working with Anthony Prince and the mayor and just all kinds of city officials, Ron Massey, Josh Ray. They've all been very supportive, continue to be very supportive. And then it's hard to, I would just say the community.
Yeah, that's the sticky one. You don't want to name one business
really
or one person.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And when you have a product that people believe in, it makes it a lot easier. And not only has it been, I'm not going to say it's been easy, but it has in a sense been easy because the community and a lot of the business leaders in the community believe in what we're doing. And there's a lot of them that have been here from the beginning, and they continue to support and believe in the mission. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the veterans organizations.
Okay.
There's a lot of veterans organizations from the North Carolina Marine Corps League, the South Carolina Marine Corps League. We have a membership program that we worked with the North Carolina Marine Corps League, that chapter of the North Carolina Marine Corps League. I think they're a chapter, maybe a directorate. I may have that wrong. But we worked with them to kick off our membership program. And almost immediately, it went from North Carolina to 27 states. So Marine Corps League members from 27 different states now have become members and supporting us. Beirut Veterans of America.
Yeah.
Regiment of Retired Marines, individual retired Marines. I mean, it's just
the list can go
great.
on and on.
Last thing I'll say about the community, we have, as of yesterday, 77 registered and trained volunteers. 77.
Wow.
Of the 77, we have 35 of those that have stepped up even further to become docents within the museum.
Oh, wow.
So the support is tremendous.
That's awesome.
It's just been tremendous. Yeah.
So 3 to 5 years from now, last question, 3 to 5 years from now, when the museum is thriving, serving thousands and thousands of people, visitors each year, what does success look like? And what will the Carolina Museum of the Marine's presence mean in the long run for preserving the heritage?
Yeah. What does right look like?
Yeah.
Right looks like a a Smithsonian level museum, the experience that you're going to see. And the exhibit company that we have on contract, Ralph Applebaum and Associates, they're out of New York, and they've done a lot of work with some of the Smithsonian museums. So that's one, the experience that people will see, and I can say I believe it's going to be right from the very beginning. It's going to look right from the very beginning, the experience they get. But 5 years from now, the original vision, the original plan was for the museum to be 40,000 square feet. And by the time we were able to get all the permits in place and the lease in place and everything, we had been hit with inflation. So to keep it in budget, to keep it within the budget, we ended up having to downsize. We had to cut off 15,000 square feet. And so what we lost out of that 15,000 square feet, one of the biggest things we lost out of that, two big things, was we were going to have a theater, and we were also going to have a couple of simulators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be neat to be able to go in and go into an F-35 simulator?
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
F-35 simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to cut those off. But if it goes the way we plan, 5 years from now, we would either be breaking ground on that other 15,000 square feet that we had to put off, or it would be finished and we'd be opening.
That's awesome.
To me, that's what right would look like. And then the last thing is it's right would look like people saying, you got to go visit the Carolina Museum of the Marine. You got to go see this thing. You got to go see it. They've got it right. People talk about the World War II Museum and stuff like, the other world-class museums. That's what right will look like. Yeah.
Well, I'm getting excited, and I can't wait till June 8th, and I think it's going to be just awesome for our community. General Schrader, thank you for being with me today, and thank you for your leadership in preserving this vital part of our history. Again, General, thank you so much, and looking forward to June 8th.
8 June, come see us. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Steve, thank you.
I'm here with Nicole Lovejoy, Chief Mission and Advancement Officer of the New River YMCA. They're building Onslow County's first significant Y facility from the ground up, a place for everyone from toddlers and seniors to gather, grow, and thrive. Nicole, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a part of bringing the New River YMCA to Onslow County.
Oh, okay. Well, I am an active duty military spouse. My husband's been in the Marine Corps for 17 and a half years. And so that's what brought us to Onslow County initially. I started in radio advertising when we first moved to Onslow County all those years ago. And then when we came back after recruiting duty, I came back into the advertising field, which is how I met you.
Yeah.
And just over the time, I built those relationships within the community. And when the opportunity for the YMCA came about, I was approached by a couple board members, and they asked me if I would be willing to consider this. And so I came on board. I had some YMCA experience as a member and had raised some of my kids in the YMCA, took some swimming lessons, summer camp, and things like that. So it just made perfect sense and did everything that I like to do in the community with things that I'm passionate about, and all came together.
That's awesome. So because the Y is kind of new here, for those that are kind of unfamiliar with the YMCA, what's the organization's mission and why does our community need one?
Yeah, so I won't share the actual mission statement because I don't think it really tells everybody exactly what the YMCA is. But the YMCA is really, truly a place where families can come together, and there is going to be something from everyone from 6 weeks of age up to senior citizens in the classes. And so the YMCA is going to be that resource within the community that can help. We can't do everything, but we do have those relationships built within the community that we can help put you in place with who you need to speak to.
And we'll talk a little bit about that. So as I mentioned in the opening, you guys are building first significant facility from the ground up, huge undertaking. How did the vision take shape, and who were the folks responsible in the early stages for making this happen?
So our founding board was very instrumental. Billy Sewell was very instrumental in bringing it. He knew that the community needed something where families could go together. And so he, started with that initial $1 million campaign to bring the YMCA here. He did that research with YUSA to find out exactly what it would take. And so when we first started, we were partnered with New Bern, Twin Rivers YMCA. We have since split and have become our own independent association, but he went through and spoke to those people and formed that board of directors, and now very instrumental in being a major donor to make sure we have what we need.
That's awesome. So what's been missing besides a pool? What's been missing in our community without a facility? And what gaps are you think you guys will fill when the facility is open?
So I think one of the biggest things that Onslow County has been missing because of the number of families and the young families that are here, we've been missing a place where the families can go all together.
Yeah.
And so you can come in on a Sunday afternoon after church and you can bring your entire family. You can check your kids into the child watch for up to 2 hours while you're on the site. And then after you pick your kids up, you can go swim together. You can use the workout equipment, or you can go into the basketball gym. So it's just giving that sense of community.
Yeah.
And as far as filling in the gaps, again, we don't want to compete with other organizations in the community, but we do want to partner with those and help to fill in those gaps. So whether it's, childcare.
I was going to say child care is a big issue.
Yes, child care.
Obviously, since COVID,
Mm-hmm.
it's become a big issue, and then some things have gone on in our community in the last several weeks that child care is becoming a bigger issue. So you guys will help fill the child care gap?
Yes, so we have a licensed child care facility already. 159 Cheney Avenue, which was our initial storefront in 2019, has now become our full day licensed child care facility. It's been there for about 2 years now. We have seen an increase of families reaching out to go on that wait list. So our hope is that we can grow that in some shape or form in the future. But yes, we will be helping to fill in those gaps
So
there.
you guys have you started this deal, and you're in 2 locations.
So actually,
more than that.
More than that. So our preschool program is a half-day preschool program that was operating out of Gum Branch.
Okay.
That building has now been, those students have now been relocated to a temporary location. We are leasing space from the Boys and Girls Club, and so we have that partnership. There's about 65 kids in that half-day preschool program. An additional 70 kids at our 159 Cheney, our licensed childcare facility. And then we serve 1,000 kids roughly on a weekly basis in 19 schools across the county, before and after school.
I'm sure a lot of people don't know that.
They don't know that. No.
That's amazing.
They say when the YMCA is coming, but we're already here. We're already serving. Yeah. And then we also offer summer camp at 3 different locations across the community.
I guess what's coming is the facility.
What's coming is the full service, what most
service,
people would know as the typical YMCA.
The pool.
The pool.
And I'm just joking because that's what everybody thinks of.
Everybody thinks it's just a pool.
They just think it's a pool.
We're gonna have cardio machines, weights, free weights, stretching, fitness classes, you name it, we're gonna have it.
That's awesome. So great lead in. Walk me through the building. What will the facility look like, and what will it offer the folks in our area? And you started talking a little bit about the cardio, the pool, the child.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if anybody is familiar with what once was the River of Life facility at 1940 Gum Branch, that is the facility that is currently under construction. And so we broke ground April 10th of 2025, so just a little less than a year ago. And that facility is getting 2 separate additions, actually. So the current structure that was there, that was the church, that is going to be still office space for our admin staff.
Okay.
The old sanctuary is converted into a middle school size basketball gym with a walking track around the outside. On the right-hand side, if you're looking at the facility, that will become the child watch and the additional gym space along connecting to the addition on the front. The addition on the front is roughly 5,000 square foot. And so those 2 spaces, almost like an L shape, will be what most people would classify as like a gym, right?
Okay.
That is your cardio machines, your free weights, your actual weight machines, a stretching area and things like that. And then in the addition, which is 32,000 square foot, that is your 2 pools. So an 8-lane lap pool, which is competition size. The
Yeah.
high school swim teams can come and use that.
Awesome.
And then actually like a family pool, slightly warmer pool that's about 3.5 to 4 foot deep for water aerobics, swimming lessons, or just family swim.
That's awesome. And it's in, you mentioned where, well, it's in just a great location. I mean, you know, if you're not on Western Boulevard Extension where the land is really expensive, where you guys are at is just a fantastic location.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it's in Jacksonville, so folks live obviously in other municipalities besides Jacksonville have to little drive in. But for to be centrally located, if you had to pick a place, it's
Yes,
great,
very centrally located,
great
close
location.
to schools, because we will hire high school kids
Okay.
when the facility opens. So a great opportunity for some of those kids to be able to get over there and work.
Awesome. So you mentioned, or I mentioned in the beginning, serving everyone from toddlers to seniors, and it has things from fitness to childcare. You mentioned that. So how does the facility address that incredibly wide range of needs under one roof? You talked about the structure, but talk about addressing all those needs.
Logistically, it's going to be a lot, but we'll have the right staff in place for that. The facility, you know, depending on what time of day or day of the week that you come in, you may see homeschool kids utilizing the facility. You may see an increased number in senior citizens maybe on Friday mornings for, you know, active older adult chair classes. But the facility will be structured very well so that there is the time for everybody to have the different programming within the facility.
So that's awesome. So your military family. So let's talk specifically about military families. How was there any care taken and thought taken to designing the facility with our community's substantial military population in mind?
I wouldn't say that the building was designed with
Yeah.
military families
What
in
about your
mind,
programming?
but definitely talking about programming,
Okay.
when we look at what programs that we have, you know, with military being so prominent, and, you know, they like to have kids a lot, with our, you know, just our average age being so young, we definitely kept that in mind with the types of programs, and
Yeah.
which was one of the reasons why, if you saw an initial blueprint of the facility, it didn't look like there was as much gym space.
Yeah.
It looked like it was a lot of preschool classrooms is what it was
Yeah.
before. But we've taken some of those walls down in the later plans to increase the size of that gym. So that way there is more space for cardio machines, more
Okay.
space for free weights and things like that.
That's awesome. So programs that the facility, now that you're going to have the facility,
Mhm.
are there some things that that you guys are going to be able to add to the community that simply have not been available to us in the past,
Mhm.
and or I guess maybe supplement? So talk about actually that, you know, once the facility
Yeah.
gets up and running.
So I'm going to kind of go back to where we were talking about partnerships a little bit too,
Yeah.
when we go into that. And so the YMCA, to the point, it's a $21.5 million project.
Wow.
And so when we look at that, that's a huge project, but we were very blessed that we had those partnerships early on
Yeah.
with the county, the city, the Board of Education, the state, and even the federal government. And so we were able to raise over $14.5 million just with them as a partnership. And so with some of those partnerships came some programs that the county has never seen before.
Yeah.
And so one of them being the partnership with the Board of Education that allows all second graders across the community, whether they are public school, private school, or homeschool, to come in and take a class that is called Safety Around Water. And so it's not
That's
actual swimming lessons, but
yeah.
they're going to know the very basics. Don't run on the pool deck, how to get yourself safely over to the edge if you were to fall in, and things like that. And
That's
then
all. That's all.
that
That's
gives them,
awesome.
yep, that gives them that introduction that they need. And then we'll have swimming lessons.
Yeah.
And unless you've been military and have access to go to the base, swimming lessons are really hard to come by
Yeah.
in the community.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the biggest things that we're able to bring.
That's awesome. I mean, I think every kid needs a new, I mean, opinion of being close to the water, the beach, whatever, wherever we are. I think every kid needs to know how to swim, or at least, like you said, be exposed to if they fall in.
Yeah.
Because the big thing is somebody doesn't know how to swim. Because there's a lot of adults that don't know how to swim. They
We'll have
fall.
adult swim lessons too.
Are they?
Yeah,
There's
there
a
will
lot.
be.
There's a lot of people. The first thing they do is they panic,
Yep.
and they stress out. So that's awesome. So when you talk to people in the community, about the project. What's been the response? And once the doors open, what are your expectations for how busy you guys are going to be?
Yeah. So for the most part, when we're out talking in the community, people are really excited.
Yeah.
Every now and then we will get the person who doesn't agree with maybe some of the funding or things like that. But for the most part, people are excited, and not always about the same thing. People are really excited about the
Yeah,
pool.
that's what's really
But
cool. Yeah.
sometimes people are just excited that we're going to have the basketball gym with the indoor walking track. Or people are excited that they will be able to bring their kids, check them into Child Watch, use the gym, and then after they're done working out, go swim with their kids. And so
Yeah.
just a place where you can bring your kids and really feel like it's a community thing.
That's cool. And you expect to,
Yes.
I mean, you expect to be busy,
Yeah,
right?
it's going to be busy. Which is great because, you know, we already have goals for the future too for the facility. But we did a feasibility study about a year ago. That feasibility study showed that we will probably be at 4,000 units within the first 18 months.
Oh, wow.
And so that was one of the reasons why we kind of restructured some
Yeah.
of the internals of what that gym facility would look like. But it's going to be different. It's going to have your busy times, just like most gyms have. But then there is going to be times that the facility is actually open to community members as part of those
Yeah.
previous relationships, and so it'll definitely be big enough and well programmed enough that it won't feel like it's overwhelming.
One of those partnerships you mentioned, the deal with the second graders. I think you said
Hmm.
there's a partnership too for swim teams
Swim
in high
teams.
school. So,
Yes.
yeah, my son and daughter swam in high school when they were here. They had to trek out on base whenever they could get. I mean, the Grace was gracious to let
Mhm.
us use or let them use the pool, but they may have swim practice. It may have been at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, it was
Mhm.
just whatever we could do. So another partnership is
Yep. Swim
swim
teams.
teams. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So I personally think the best way to communicate and get a point across is through storytelling.
Mhm.
Can you share a story that might illustrate why we need the YMCA? Have you come across the individual or family
Mhm.
or something?
Yeah. So, just recently we had our Hearts of the Community dinner, and this story was actually shared. And I've been at the Y now for a little over a year, so I actually was a part of seeing this family. But last year in the spring, we had a mom and a daughter who would walk to the Y, and they would sit and they would use our parking lot to wait for a taxi or an Uber or a ride. And so it was a warm day, and somebody went out and offered the mom and the daughter a bottle of water. And then we just started talking to them, invited them in when we then had our summer feeding program that we could offer breakfast and lunch. And as we grew that relationship with them, we learned that the mom and the daughter were actually experiencing homelessness.
Oh, wow.
And so they were, doing all that they could. The mom was trying to work, but the daughter was only 4, and so she wasn't in school yet. And as that relationship grew, we were able to get the daughter enrolled in our summer camp program. And then in the fall, she went to our junior kindergarten. And now that the mom has now worked more hours, they have found stable housing. They have now got the daughter into kindergarten. They're still in our before and after school program. But I think it's just such a testimony where they were using our parking lot to get a ride, didn't know the programming that we had, and then we were just able to wrap our arms around them and love on them and give them what they needed to get back on their feet. So
That's this community. That's this community. So this is a long question. So you're building this facility at the same time that a couple other nonprofits,
mhm.
One Place and Carolina Museum of the Marines, they've also made major facility investments here in the community. What does it say about Onslow County that nonprofits are making these kind of bold bets on our future?
Well, so I love Onslow County, so this is kind of an easy question for
It's my
me.
and it's my hometown. So
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, like my family's military. My husband's actually not even stationed here
yeah,
anymore, but we chose to raise our family here and stay here for good. But I think it's just a testimony to all the great things that Onslow County can offer for young families, for people who have lived here forever. And so the community sees the need and they want to invest in the
yeah,
community. And so I think that that just proves that these organizations are setting roots and they're, expanding
yeah.
for the community.
And just trying to figure out that need
Yeah.
that exists
Yeah.
that may pop up. It may be a mother-daughter for that particular day out in the parking lot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned earlier, but I want to give you guys ample time to to talk about this. You mentioned Billy, very instrumental. You mentioned the city and the county and school system, and you mentioned state and federal. Anybody else that you guys want to mention, whether private business or anybody else that may have really stepped up, and you can tell us what those partnerships look like.
Yeah, so we've created a lot of partnerships, especially over the last year since I've been in my role. My role is to go out and build those relationships and bring them in to help, whether it's sponsoring our golf tournament or our casino night that we have coming up next month. Those are all relationships and future donors or for future members of our organization. But some very instrumental, like I mentioned before, Billy and Julie Sewell have been very instrumental. Our board of directors has been amazing with not only advocating for the things that we need, but also stepping up and being that leader and donating to the organization to make sure that we can provide the services that we need. So I definitely would say our board of directors, our local car dealerships, even some other nonprofits and local business owners, they've really stepped up to help us get to where we are today.
That's awesome, which fits with our community.
Yeah.
So how does the YMCA fit into Onslow County's existing network of nonprofits? And you mentioned that from the aspect of community resources.
Yeah. So again, we know that we can't solve every issue in the community, but we've really have worked to have those relationships with those other nonprofit organizations so that when a family does come in and they ask us a question, we may not be able to fill that need, but we know exactly where we can go. We do have some programming that overlaps with other nonprofits, like we do have a youth-focused food pantry, but if we can't fill the need for that family, we know exactly who we can call, and we have those point of contacts to provide to them.
That's awesome. Final question. 5 years from now, when the new facility is built, and 5 years old, but it's fully integrated into the community, what does success look like? And what will the WISE presence mean to Onslow County?
So I think for success for us is that the facility is, operating and is doing good in the community. But really success is that we've seen such a need and such, community support that we have maybe some satellite locations.
Yeah.
And that may be that we're, in a rec center just doing programming, but it also could be additional buildings that we've built across Onslow County, maybe in the Swansboro area or the Sneads Ferry, Holly Ridge area. So definitely expanding to be able to bring our programming into those outlying communities.
That's awesome. Nicole, thank you so much for sharing YMCA's story with the viewers of Living Local. I appreciate your time and looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. 3 organizations, 3 visions, 1 powerful message. Onslow County's nonprofits are betting big on the community's future. What struck me most wasn't just the buildings. It was the partnerships. County commissioners, city leaders, federal and state officials, Camp Lejeune, private donors, other nonprofits. Everyone's stepping up because they recognize that when nonprofits succeed, we all benefit. These projects represent millions of dollars, thousands of volunteer hours, and countless people who said yes when asked to invest in Onslow County. And here's what that matters and means to you. Soon there will be more places for families to find help when they need it most, more opportunities connect to the Marine Corps heritage and honor those who served, and more ways for your family to be healthy, active, and connect to the community. That's just not construction, that's community building. If you want to support any of these organizations, whether through donations, volunteering, or just showing up when the doors open, reach out to them. This community needs what they're building. Thank you to Don Rochelle from One Place, retired Major General Joe SHRADER from the Carolina Museum of the Marine, and Nicole Lovejoy from the New River YMCA. And thank you for sharing your organization's vision with us. This is Living Local. I'm Steve Goodson. Thanks for watching.
Living Local is made possible by Marine veteran Amy Goss with Guild Mortgage. Everyone deserves the American dream. Amy helps you achieve it.